Welcome, everyone, to Of the Publishing Persuasion. I am Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle and A Cruel Thirst, and I am here with the Queen of Australia, dare I say, the world herself, the author of Severed Cape, Melanie Mother Effing Schubert. Melanie, how are you? What's going on? How's life? Feels like forever.
I know it was 1 week, but I have withdrawals from
We were
recording.
talking about this, like it really and truly, if we go more than a week, it feels like we're so disconnected with just like
Yeah,
the writing
society.
world. Yeah.
It does feel like that, like which is nice in and of itself. But yeah, I'm good. I'm like in my revision cave, so it's like extra heightened, that feeling of just
Yeah.
kind of like I am purposely avoiding the socials a little bit at the moment because I just tend to fall into a hole and lose hours of my life. It's just like
Right.
that. So, yeah,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
miss my community. I miss my gram fam, but I am trying to pop my head in and put a few posts up and obviously the pod. But yeah, it's
Right.
just I really want to get this revision done and like a full child, I have been like line editing at the same time as doing the like adding in new stuff, which is like makes it painstakingly slow revisions.
Yeah.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, I'm finding it hard to push myself to move faster because when I force my husband later to sit down and listen to what I revised that day, I'm like, damn, it is smoother. So like once your
Mm.
brain clocks it and you're like, and not just smoother, it's just more cohesive. Everything flows into itself more. I'm just like, why wouldn't I do that? You know?
Yes. And you, like we've talked about, you're at the point in the game where it is beneficial to take your time because you're getting into a whole new season in your writing life. We're working toward something in particular. So like you want to dig in and really get all of the bits and pieces
Yeah,
looking beautiful and clean and right. There's no reason to rush because
I know.
it's go time.
I
And
know,
so
but that's the same. It's go time is the same reason there's like these two conflicting parts of me right
yeah.
now that are like, there's the one part that's like, fly, rush, 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 rush. And then there's the other part of me that's like, cool your engines, bro. Like, just take your time. You're so right. Like, I know that in my bones. Um, it's such a delicate balance though, because I also like this morning. I changed something and then I was like, fuck, do I want that to happen right now? And then I was like, is it
Mm.
confusing because it's in the middle of this scene and it disrupts the flow? And then I was like, but it's so much better than what was there. You know, when you write something that was better than what was there, but you become
Yes.
aware it's disrupting the flow of that moment. I,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it tore my soul because it was so much more interesting. It played into the new threads that I'm adding. But I was just like, if I put it here though, everything feels focused on that now. So I took it
So what did you
out.
decide?
I
Okay, you
took
took
it
it out.
out, but I'm going to put it somewhere else. It's just that process was like an hour of
Yes.
stuffing around. So
Yeah.
it's that's what I mean when I say it's a painstaking edit because like that decision took me an hour to make and an hour to write that new paragraph. And then I put it aside and like, I freaking hope I can put it somewhere else just as easily as it felt like it went there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
know,
I
write a
do.
life. Am I
Writer
right?
life. Writer life. Yes. Yeah. Like all of those. Um, one of my favorite things is like when this random thread in
Mm,
the storyline like pops into your head and you're like, oh my gosh, this would be so much cooler if I add this because then in the end it's all going to make more sense. But it on the other, like the flip side, then you have to go back
hmm.
and add all of these different little threads in these little moments. And so yeah, that's what I'm probably going to be doing all this week is going back
The
and adding little bits, little threads,
Yeah.
that because I've been lucky enough to have a few beta readers
Yeah.
for Carnival Fantastico, and each of them have had like these cool, really like subtle things
Mm,
that would shift a little bit of the perspective, like not perspective, but because so much happens at the end. And so if I just pull some of the threads back a little bit more towards the beginning, it all makes the end
yes.
that much more dynamic.
Yes.
So we love beta readers.
Yes,
Love
that's
them,
hard
love
to like.
them.
I know what you're saying though, because even if it's one little thread that changes, which is actually the thing, like when Sandra gave me my feedback, in the end, it was basically boiled down to strengthen the hotel and strengthen the love interest. But
Yeah.
he was like, see what that does. And it's kind of
Yes.
smart advice because, like, yeah, those little threads that you've been given, it actually weaves into every little part. And that's the thing. You now have to make sure, does XYZ paragraph, is it even necessary anymore? And I found myself,
Mm.
I like all the kind of backstory that I had, I've basically cut all the former backstory because it felt pointless compared to the new stuff, which felt
Uh-huh.
meaningful. The other stuff felt like I was trying to give them more agent to me in hindsight, like in retrospect, now that I have a more solid backstory. The other one felt like I was just going through the motions of save the cat to kind of like why they want to be there. But I feel like now it's become more girthy and fleshy and,
Yes.
pulsating.
Ooh. What sort of book are you writing?
Well, I mean, hopefully a little bit of that kind of book, but not too much because,
Yeah, I am so excited to freaking read this book, not just for the girth, but for all of the bits.
I would have loved to make it even more spicy, but
Oh,
choosing to make my main love interest for like basically the whole book covered in a suit of armor. But I mean,
yeah.
I could just probably use Vera Valentine for some inspiration on like that armor
You
play.
could. Oh,
But I've gone like a slightly different direction. So anyway, you'll see. You'll see. You can tell
yeah.
me if I have successfully pulled it off one day, but
I'm pumped. How far are you in the process?
almost half. I wish I was further,
Wow.
but yeah, nearly at that halfway
No, you're
mark.
doing great. You're doing great. Halfway is huge.
It's
You're
like in my
welcome.
mind, see that's what I was gonna say though. Like the agonizing over stuff is good, but I kind of wish I just skim read it this morning that bit and not lost that hour writing that paragraph
Yeah.
and then taking it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, do you see the sun glare in
Oh,
your camera?
child.
I was like, Melanie, are you going to heaven right now?
The sun just came through the trees. It's rising. Hang on.
She's
Do you want me to shuffle this back?
glorious.
There
No,
we
I don't care. Oh, there, I see you now.
go.
You look like an angel ascending to the
Yeah,
throne
it's
room.
gotten bright now. Good Lord.
Yeah, you look good. This lighting is good on you. Yeah.
Natural sunlight,
Yeah.
backlight. The backlight is very honest.
Yes. It
Luckily,
looks
it's not on the front, but the
you look
front
very
would be
angelic.
another story. Yeah, if it ignites the whole screen again. My little face is small at the moment up
Oh,
there, so I
no.
haven't really paid attention to it for
She
once.
looks great to me. Okay,
Yeah.
I forgot what we were saying
I don't know.
before.
Tell me how
I
you're
just got
going with your
pummeled.
revision. We were talking about revisions, and
Yeah.
I want to know how yours is going because I was just like, are you done? I feel like you did it. You finished it, didn't
Yes.
you? I
I
knew
finished.
it.
The book is done. Um, the book is done. I've it's been awesome, honestly.
Mm,
It's been like a really fun, interesting process this time. Not even writing, but like because I've
mm,
had beta readers reading, it feels like with this book in particular, they're reading faster. And I don't know
mm.
if it's me, if I'm putting pressure on them, or what my delusional mind is going to is maybe it's just better and they're enjoying it more. So I'm just letting my mind stay there.
Let it go
Yeah.
there.
I'm just letting her be cocky and arrogant about this, but yeah, I've been getting really great feedback, and
Yeah.
And I've heard from a few beta readers that this is my most romantic book yet,
Oh, good
which,
Lord.
yeah, which
I'm
is what I
so
was going
ready.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's like, yes, I love this story. So it's
I
done. I'm
literally
gonna,
feel sick that I haven't read it yet. Like I feel so unwell that I have there's a Montoya that I haven't read, but I have to
no,
do this
you
damn
you have
revision.
to, yeah, no, I won't even allow
But
you
I
to
just
look at
need
it.
you to know I'm not coping that other people have read it, and I'm like so yearning. I want the romance. I want the
Yeah.
Montoya.
Yes. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even let you like take a peek
No.
because you are in your bag right now. But yeah, no, I finished revising it again today
I
and
knew it. You
fin
had an air of someone who was like had done their revision.
done. Yes, she is done. And I cleaned the house
Good
too.
Lord. It does look very clean, the floor. What happened to the orb ghosts? That must have been dust. You vacuumed them up
I exercised them out of my house.
with the vacuum cleaner. It's very Ghostbusters, though.
Hey, who knows? Okay. Whatever it was, we're just gonna pretend it's gone. We're not dealing with it anymore. It's probably just dust.
I think
I
it was
dusted.
dust and you
It was
cleaned
just
it. Now they're gone. Sorry, I
could
digress.
be. Could be. There you go, getting distracted
I
by the
know.
background again.
Mhm.
She's a nosy, nosy girl.
I know.
Yeah. I'm going to try. It's not due till September 1st. It's
Mm,
August 13th right now.
yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is listen to it. What are you laughing about, Melanie?
Telling me the date. And at first I was like, why is she telling me the date? But then my brain was like, well, she knows you never know the date. So anyway,
Just letting you know what the date is. At least here in the States, it's August 13th.
that's true.
Um, so
Yeah,
I still have like 2 weeks. So I think I'm going to listen to it unless
smart. Are you still using the gear to listen to it, or have you leveled up to something?
it's called Voice Dream or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I knew you had something new. Okay, I'm gonna look
Yeah,
that one up
I
because
love it. It's
yeah.
called Voice Dream, and it lets you choose different accents and like different, male, female, whatever. Like it lets you choose that sort of thing, which I kind of like. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and for our listeners who don't know what we're talking about, this is actually really great information that you changed my whole writing revisions process by telling me about this. Like having your book read back to you by an app. And like the
Yeah.
voices are automated robot voices, but you get used to it surprisingly quick, eh? Don't you reckon?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, you
But
do.
it's
It
life
starts to kind of
changing.
blend. It is,
Yeah.
honestly, like hearing it back. For one, it helps you with grammar because you're like, okay, the comma doesn't belong there.
It does not
Um,
belong there. The number of times she saved me from a bad comma or like a
yes.
typo.
Yes. Yes. So just on a practical level, like that right there
Mhm.
steps up the game. But like also hearing it helps so much with like you'd be surprised how many times you say a phrase repeatedly, and when you hear it as you're listening you're like, oh shit, like how many times is her heart gonna flutter, damn it, like cut that out.
I feel
Yeah.
attacked. I feel attacked. How very well dare you bring that up? Because literally just today I was like, I think I've said my heart hammers like I think it's in there too many times for halfway. So I feel directly attacked by your words right now.
Yeah. No, I am very conscious of how many times I mention heart ever since Sinner's Isle edits, because my editor Bria like had a list. Like you
Yeah.
said her
How many
heart
was it?
fluttered. Oh God, it was like 100 times or something. Like I should have been sent to jail for how many times.
I'm
Yeah.
laughing,
So
but I still feel attacked. I
yeah,
think I
I know.
probably have, for me, I do hammered or thundered or something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to focus on other things in the body, but like for
I
legit,
know.
the heart does things,
Okay, but
when
I have a
you're
question
feeling
for
things.
you. Like, since we're on this side quest now,
Yes,
my
side
question
quest.
is this.
Okay.
Because the reason we do it, of course, is because we've been told the same thing to absolutely not write, I feel.
Right.
No, never, dear listener, if you're like, it's not the thing to write. And as when I was fresh, I'd write, I feel so sweaty. I feel so afraid. But obviously, like, good writing is show me, make me feel it, like there's
Yes.
chills up my spine, my lower lip trembles, whatever. My
Yes.
question is there like a 1 or 2 count? Because I have come to a place where my heart hammered. I was just doing this morning. This is why it's funny that we're talking about it. My heart had hammered several times. And so I caught it this morning. I was like, oh Lord, there's her
Yes.
heart hammering again. And
Yes.
and I was just like, okay, is there a point where I can use feel for once?
Mm.
Where I've used so many bodily descriptions that it would be kinder to the reader to have a feel in there. What is your
Yeah.
opinion on this topic?
Wow. Is this of the publishing persuasion? Is this like a literary
Oh,
podcast right
we actually brought her back to some writing advice.
now? I think there's always room to break the rule, and it's not even really a rule, but like I think you could always add that in there
Have
because
you culled all yours? Do you always cull them all?
the feel I
Yeah.
feel. No, I feel like I have a few
A
of those in
few.
there. Yes. And I think it's okay because I think you
Yeah.
can break up the way your characters are expressing things, how they're seeing things, and sometimes you just feel these emotions. And so yeah, I think it's totally fine. I've been trying like this round to like I don't know, like I don't know what I'm doing. But I feel like I've been trying to get rid of the heart situation a little bit
Mm.
and like do some inner monologue. I feel like that helps a lot. I'm trying to think what the hell. I don't know what I do. I don't know what the
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I yeah. I'm just giggling because my one of my sisters like because we talked about this like oh my heart thumps really hard when I'm
yeah.
nervous and she was like oh no I feel everything in my butthole. She was like, "Don't you feel stress? Like, don't you feel things in your butthole?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "No, legit. Like when I'm tense, my butthole goes." And
Okay, first of all,
are
I
you
hope
a
you know
butthole
I've
feeler?
now hyperfixated on this, and this is what the rest of the podcast is going to be about. Um, Now I'm not exclusively a butthole girl. However, I am aware of what your sister speaks, as there
Yes.
are many nerves in the butthole, and I have a very
Yeah.
sensitive nervous system. So I have felt stress on occasion, but I wouldn't say it's my guiding star the way it sounds like it is for
It is. My sister. Yes. And she's the one that ruined my bangs. So shout out
Oh,
Kelsey.
that's why she's getting her butthole aired on the
Yeah.
pod.
Yes. Well, yes, I'm airing her butthole out right now
I'm just
because
shuffling back out of the sun again.
my sister is such a nervous, like like she lives in anxiety because
Aw,
she lives in this world. So for her, I could see where the butthole would come into play for sure because
yeah.
she's always clenched. The girl's clenched
Aw.
tight. So she's in therapy. She's doing great, but the butthole's
How's
there.
her butthole doing?
It's tight.
This is sounding like a different podcast.
Yeah, you're right. So like I'm laughing because when we were talking about these descriptors, like it ran through my mind, like, should I just add a little, do I add a little butthole in here? But no,
You
obviously.
should, because anxiety rep. Because that's why I can understand. I get a lot of weird nervous tensions in different parts of my body. Like I can like my face along here there's this part along here and it will go into my lip. I've got a nerve there that's really sensitive. And it used to be
Oh,
so disconcerting to me, which is like, yeah, like touching on something serious now. Like, yeah, when I would used to go into hospital for like symptoms in my body that I didn't realize was always associated to panic and whatever, it would be
wow.
because I'd have these like very disconcerting, like this, it was just like go numb or it would be pulsating and I could just be very conscious of it. And it's just because I have a very sensitive nervous system. Like it feels a lot, especially on the
Yeah.
left side, which in my little brain was like, oh my God, you're having like a stroke or a heart attack or something. But it's just her nervous system being very sensitive. So yeah, I
It's
can
just
understand
working.
that her poor little butthole feels these
Yeah.
things because it's full of nerves.
It, it is. That's true. It's true. It's very true.
So she,
Yeah, so it's puckered up
it's
tight,
fucking
you
up
know.
tight. Well, I guess that's where the
Yeah.
expression comes from. She must not be alone, you know?
The- yeah, listeners, let us know how you're feeling about your butthole.
Yeah. Do you get butthole flutters and butthole anguish from anxiety? Has your butthole been afflicted
Has
today?
your bunghole yeah, so now I'm gonna be looking for that in every
Mhm.
book I ever read. It's like
I
is
mean,
the butthole buttholing? Yeah.
listen, I might not put it in YA, but when you write your
Yeah.
spicy adult book,
Oh.
absolutely I want to hear the butthole rep because I feel like it could be her thing.
It could, hey, it really could. It really, really could.
Yeah, and we should stop shaming people for feeling different things in different places, you know?
No shame here. No shame. No shame. But I gotta bring it up because she did me dirty with the bangs. I gotta bring up, the butthole.
I'm
That's it. That's all I gotta
obsessed
say.
with your sister's butthole. It's gotta be
Yeah.
one of my favorite things you've told me. But it's also like I say, it is like nice to hear, not specifically about her butthole, but nice to hear about how other people's sensitive nervous systems interact with their body. Because yeah, I
Yeah.
had to learn a lot of panic attacks I had like after my initial nervous breakdown were freaking out about physical symptoms in my body because I'd be like, what the fuck is that? Why is this happening? Why do I feel this here? Well, like the chest pain is a like one
Hmm.
that's common and a lot of people talk about, but nobody talks about the like nervous ones that like come up in your whatever, your fingers, your face, wherever it is.
Yes.
And I had
Yeah.
so many. So
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
butthole
No,
rep.
I think, here's something I've been working on actually for like,
Yes.
because I do dual POV. And I've
Yeah.
been thinking, okay, well, each of them kind of has a nervous, a thing that they do when they're feeling a little anxious or like when their brains, going haywire. So for his name is Ignacio. He's my male main character.
That's a hot name.
Um
Is it
yeah.
like relating to fire? Ignite, like ignite.
That's what the name means, but not him, and I just
Yeah,
love the
yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah.
But like for him, his nervous tick is like he rubs his finger where his a ring is, his mother's ring. And so when he's nervous, that's what he's doing. He's touching this ring and like rubbing it. And so the reader knows like throughout the book, like if he's doing that, like he's nervous.
Let's see.
What?
He's touching his ring and he's rubbing it after 20 minutes of talking about buttholes.
Hey, I am multifaceted here. I've got layers. We're just here.
I'm not. I told you once you brought up the butthole, my
It's
brain would
done.
go back to it
I
every
should have
time.
known. I
No,
should have
but
known it was done.
it was cooked. This cloaca was cooked. But no, like on a serious note.
I should have known. As soon as I saw your eyes light up, I was like, oh, I've lost her with this.
But it's also what I live for. But I also do live for those moments in books
Little
where you
things.
have like the little character thing. And before the butthole correlation, I would have thought that was quite hot. Like he plays with his ring. It's like the kind of thing
Yes.
you notice about your crush as well. that they have like a
Yes.
little thing and then you start to copy it because you're like, hopefully they'll find it hot, but they don't even notice because, they're
Oh.
more interested in, someone else who,
Wow.
you know.
Wow.
So I'm there for it. I'm there for the
Yeah.
realness.
Yeah. Listeners, I hope you've learned some good things.
Speaking of good things, look at this.
Oh,
I have
yes.
a whole ass poster from Keisha's book launch, which I went
How the
to
heck
last
was
week.
that? That looks so
It
fun.
was,
It looked
I'm
like
gonna show you.
everybody was there.
Look at this shit. I have, it was like, it was the full hog and whistle. What do you say? What is
I
my,
don't know.
the cover is gorgeous. So the
It
girls'
is gorgeous.
collection. Look at this art. Haha, I have art that you want.
Hot. I
It's so
do.
hot.
I do
Um,
want that.
yeah, there was a whole bunch of little treasures that came with it. It was so gorgeous. Like, it was probably one of the nicest book launches I've been to, honestly. Like, the vibe was,
Amazing.
she had so many like family and friends show up. It was like, I could tell it was like a lot, like it was really noisy and loud. But at a point, I was just like, oh, they're just so happy for her. Everyone's
Yeah.
so happy for her and they can't stop chattering about it. And it was really like, I always feel emotional when like people give like there was a few people from like the Chinese community who were on some boards and stuff who had come to celebrate her and they gave speeches in Chinese. I always feel emotional when I hear people giving like, even though I didn't know what he was saying, he was like so fucking proud of her, you know? He was
Aw.
so proud and you could just hear it in his voice and like, yeah. And it was nice as well, just actually having people at the event I was excited to see as well. I caught up with Paula, our lovely
Heck
friend Paula,
yes.
original twin author. So we had a little bevy
Yeah.
at a bar beforehand. And I,
Saw Belinda, our
Belinda, I
beloved
got to
Belinda.
hug
We
Belinda. I
love
got to hug
Belinda.
Michaela, who I love as well. We've been on,
Oh, yes.
we've been IG buddies for a while, but that was honestly, I don't think I realized she was in Melbourne until really recently. So that's cool. It's nice to like have a little community grow.
Yes.
And I got to hug Lisa, and Lisa gave me an arc of this, which I'm very excited about. I might have to squeeze in reading this somewhere because Prince of Fortune, just giving some Aussie shout outs right now, but you know how I
Yeah.
love my gay boy romances. So, and Princes in
You
Love.
do.
You know,
You do.
Princes in Love is my bread and butter.
Absolutely bread and butter, your heart and soul. Yes, I love that. I love the community over there.
It's
Like that's
so
you have
do
some
I now.
baddies.
Yeah, it honestly like it's such a nice surprise to me. Like
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
it just shows you as well that if at first you don't succeed, try again because I really thought I'd
Yes.
put myself out there in the writing community in Melbourne and it was a lot for me when I did it. And I was just like, maybe it's just I'm going to be one of those. I'm going to be like Enya. I'll like release my thing and then retire to my castle. But I realize more and more it's really not what I want. Like
Mm,
anxiety aside, I really, really love people, like good people. I really, really love to hear people's lives and stories and share and connect and um becoming like aware of like how much space and time I need to recover from that too, I
yeah.
think has made me feel like I can try more again. Because,
Yes. Yeah.
aside from just healing and feeling stronger to do more, what I don't want to do is repeat the patterns of the past and burn myself out and not honor my sensitivity. Something that, like, again, I think is giving me courage to go to all this because I think people would be surprised by like how severe my social anxiety and panic attacks that no one would even guess because of how I am once I'm around people,
Mm,
like and and so choosing to face that can be a lot, but it's not as severe as it was before. Like honestly, it was I mean, I was on a mill of CBD, so that was great.
that
And
helps.
it really does help. It's made it like less daunting to go to that stuff. But it's like the knowledge of it can escalate to panic attacks and high anxiety. That's like hard to face sometimes, but yeah, like what I'm realizing is the kind of people I have around me now, it's not like before. Like, first of all, like I trust myself to disconnect when I like not like completely, but to be like at the end of the night they were all going for drinks and I was like I was still feeling good, but I was like, I think I'm done as well. I can feel myself reach. I need to eat. I'm like
Yeah.
probably more overstimulated than I realized. And I was like, yeah, I'm probably just gonna go home and order a pizza, you know? But
Heck
like,
yes.
I think once you know where you're and you want to nurture yourself and not burn yourself out, it's becoming fun for me as well. Even it's becoming more fun and less. Do you feel as well like the more shit you're doing, the less daunting it becomes as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like, especially now, like as we chat about all these things, I
Mm,
kind of have the tools and I understand that it's okay to
yeah.
not do all the things and like listen to my body. Although I did not listen to my body very well the last day, but um other than that, but social, connection wise, knowing it's okay to say no or to just kind of fade away and go back to your hotel or back to your house and just enjoy the quiet and reflect on everything. Giving yourself permission to not do
Yes.
all the things, really, I think is very freeing. And yeah, like that, especially like the convention I just came back from, which was Steamy Lit. It was so much. It was so
Oh
much.
my gosh, did we not
Um,
even talk about that one yet? I forgot we
no,
talked about Comic-Con last time. I knew there was something
yeah,
else. Here we've been
no
talking about
Steve.
buttholes for 20 minutes, and I wanted to hear about Steamy Lit.
Hey, I
It fucking
mean,
looked like a lot, a lot.
I I was so overwhelmed. Let me just be honest.
Yeah,
It was
no.
awesome. It was great, but there was so many, and I got to hang out with Gretchen the first day, which is great. I love
Yay.
Gretchen. Um, and then like I went to dinner with my like the publicity team
Wow.
for Random House, which it's a new like romance part of Get Underlined. They're called Love Underlined, and they were fabulous. We had a great dinner. It was really, really cool. That was wonderful. But yeah, like the first day, like I was pretty lost. Like I didn't recognize anybody or like run into anybody. And so
Oh,
like
true.
I just yeah. And so um
Damn,
like
it's
if it was
that
a
big.
young, it's really big and there's just like so much happening. But like if it was like a young adult one, I feel like I would have bounced into a lot more people. But because it's a romance,
Mm,
there's not as many young adult romance authors there.
gotcha.
And the so it's really fun, but it was a lot. And so like that first day, I was chit-chatting with people, but like after the 4 hour, and I did a panel that day,
Damn.
and I did a panel in this thing called speed dating, which was like an author would switch tables and chat with like a group of, I don't know, six
That's
people and just
cool.
at the table. Yeah, it was really fun. And then after that I had lunch, and then right after that I did that 4 hour signing. And
Good
yeah,
Lord, after
it
all
was a
that.
yeah, so that was the first real
Oh my
day.
God.
And so after that, people were like asking, "Do you want to go out? Like, you want to have drinks?" And I was like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna stay. I'm just gonna order. I think I got
Yeah.
pizza that night. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stay
Pizza.
and yes, do
Mm,
my thing." And and then I even stayed in early or stayed in af the next day. I stayed back in my room because I knew I was gonna do another 4 hour signing.
mm.
And but I was like thrown off that day because I ate breakfast early, and then I went and did like this interview thing, and it threw off like my timing of like, oh, I need to eat. And so
Girl.
I didn't eat. Yeah, I didn't take care of myself very well.
Okay,
So
but
then
I
I
want to
I
apologize to you because not apologize to you. I was thinking of you because the timing is hard. Because when I went
yeah,
to this stupid book launch, my timing was completely off with when I was going to eat. And I also wound up going, I was thinking of you and I was like, oh, she should have had snacks, rah, rah, rah. And then
yeah.
I was like, No, but like it's literally, I wound up having just like two wines and like some cereal as
Yes.
I flew out the door because my Uber came and I was like, oh shit, I forgot to, I
Yeah.
lunch late, whatever. So I actually,
No, that's it.
you're
Like no
true.
matter what.
Hard.
Well, and even at the signing, which was really cool, they had this a care package for the authors. It had
Oh, that's
cookies,
so nice.
bars, chips. However, I was so busy chattering and yapping that I
Oh,
didn't eat anything. And so that last hour I stood up, I had one more hour to go. I stood up and I saw dots and I was like, uh-oh. And I tried to like continue to rally, like continue to sign and chat, but I was like, I'm gonna faint if I don't leave right this
girl, you're
second.
seeing
So
dots. It's not the time to rally.
yeah, no, right. And I felt bad because like the last like couple of people that were in my line, like I was just trying to like rush so I wouldn't like faint. And so then I ran up to my room and I just laid there and I ate whatever I could.
Mm.
And yeah, so word of advice, no matter what is happening, take a second and freaking have some cookies.
That's it. You're actually the only reason I was okay is because I was thinking of you and I was like, I did order lunch and it was like terrible. I ordered this Uber Eats and it was so bad before I left. And then I was thinking about you and I was like, I have, even though I'm not hungry, because you don't get hungry. Are you, if you're like
Yes,
me, when you're socializing, your appetite just shuts. I think
it's
that's
gone.
an
And yeah,
anxiety thing too. And I was
yeah,
not even hungry, but I literally, before my Uber came, I put a few spoons of cereal and yogurt in a bowl. I was like, just want to have something so my blood sugars don't drop. And I think that's
yes,
why I was okay, but I was like so hungry by the end.
yeah.
But like,
No,
yeah.
that's exactly, I was not hungry at all.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I stood and I was like, oh, girl is gonna die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But we live and learn. We do better. We get our little snackies
I'm
and
gonna
we
send you
force them down.
a pack next time.
And I have to eat it. Like that's the thing. Because I had a nice, yummy snack pack and I didn't eat it because I was
Bad
yapping away. But anyway, we live and learn, we survive.
for those kinds of things. Do you find it helpful?
Um, I am honestly pretty good, and I probably should, but it's just mostly eating. Like if I don't eat, my blood sugars just plummets, and I didn't have my vitamins. I was just a mess. So, but speaking of someone who's not a mess, we have the amazing Sofia on. I'll read her bio really quick, and it's a short one. But yeah, so Sofia is a Mexican writer. She spent her childhood and adolescence in Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore. She completed her degrees in psychology at the University of Queensland in Australia. She currently lives in the UK with her husband and son and splits her time writing, raising her son, and working as a psychologist, supporting the people with brain injuries and neurological conditions. Sophia is a baddie,
Such a bad
period.
and such a sweetheart and just an interesting person all around.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm
I
so
can't wait
glad.
for everybody to hear this.
Yeah, me too. It was such a fun episode. I do want to say before we go that I just feel like I have to apologize and also say you're welcome on behalf of all Australia for our breakdancing efforts recently. I know we've got less than a minute. Um, the buttholes were just they took up too much of my mental space to remember until now, but I'm
Yeah,
sorry. You're welcome. I don't know what else to say.
I think that's it. I'm sorry and you're welcome. That is the phrase. Yes.
Kind of the summary.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to speak to you guys. Like, see you moving
Yes. I
live.
it's live. We're here. It's happening. I was just asking Melanie what time it's over there. It's 7 over there. What time is it where you are?
Oh, it's 10 p.m. Yes, yes.
Oh,
So
good
I'm speaking
Lord.
very low because my 3-year-old is sleeping and I'm petrified of waking him up. But
Yes.
we've got the sound machine on. Oh, you guys can talk. Like
Okay.
I
Yeah, I don't know why I all of a sudden started whispering.
you're okay. He's got the sound machine on as well, so it should
Okay.
drown out. It should drown out. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, immediately my voice went, oh, okay.
Yeah, very, very, empathetic. That's very compassionate. Yeah.
It's a curse. It's a curse I have. I'm so empathetic and so compassionate.
Nervous giggling from Melanie.
Well, it can be a curse, as fellow empaths know. But it's also a gift sometimes, you know. But we're so happy to have you on. I'm also like having to remind myself I can talk loud now because I'm just like don't want to wake your toddler up.
No. Got these on, guys. I've got these on.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Yes, you totally can shout if you want. You'll only hurt me, no one else.
Okay, good to know. Now we know, Melanie, we're in the clear.
We know. I was just reading your bio and I see you've spent some time in our fair country, Australia.
Girl, I haven't just spent time there. I'm an Australian citizen as well. So
I was
yes.
like, what is this accent that I'm listening to right now? That I was trying to detect. I was like, some of it's American, I think. Some of it sounds like you're one of ours. Okay, tell me the details.
Oh my gosh. So I guess I was born in Mexico and my family's all Mexican and I was raised there until the age of 10. And then my dad is an airline pilot and we moved from the age of 10. I went to an American school, so I like picked up an American accent, I guess. And then we moved to Singapore and then I went to university in Brisbane. So, and I spent like 11 years there. I met my husband, who's born in Zimbabwe, but also was raised in Australia. So then I kind of picked up some Australian things, like my accent kind of mellowed, and now I've spent like 7 years in the UK. So I don't know what my accent is, to be honest. It's just like
it's a melting pot.
Yeah, melting pot. Yeah.
You just got all the ingredients in there. Yeah. I love that so much.
So I'm like a little bridge between you guys in a way, because we've got like the Mexican and the Australian.
Yes. I know. It just feels right. We're all together. We're
so
just
nice.
We needed this. We needed this after the Olympics, after all the things Australia had to say. All the things they did, we needed this bond, this bridge. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, pleasure.
I love this so much. Well, I want to get to our first and favorite question, which is, what is the most random thing you own?
Okay, so I did have to think about this, and actually I sat down here and then I looked at this enormous duck that I have there. It's like this huge duck. It's super heavy. And it was a gift from my mother-in-law. And at first I was like, what am I going to do with this enormous duck? And when we moved here from Australia, I was like, by that time I'd fallen in love with this duck, and I'm like, I have to bring this duck with me, and this duck is probably not going to be buried with me. And I don't know, I just love it. It's huge. It's like
it looks heavy. I was gonna ask, like, what is there a symbolism to the duck, or it's
the duck is made out of Rhodesian teak, which is like a special wood a tree that grows in Zimbabwe, and it's like a really, really heavy wood, and they used to make railroads with, and so the only symbolism is that it comes from Zimbabwe, and my husband's Zimbabwean, so that's
cool. That's super cool. I feel like even just the slow sweep we did of your house, in that small sweep, I was like, you can tell that she's lived all over the world, because there's all these little treasures and each one is like not just something you got at IKEA. You can tell it's like something precious that has a story. And I wish we had time to hear all the stories of all the pieces, because I'm that person. When I come to your house, when my eyes won't just skim the thing, I'll be like, tell me about this item. Tell me about this item. Where did you get this one?
Okay. Well, when you come to London, you can come to my house and I will take you on a tour, because I do have collected these things, and they are like my little treasures. So I will definitely be happy to partake in this discussion when we have more time.
You're just your house is full of treasures. I love that. Melanie is definitely nosy, because after almost every episode she's like, what is that behind you that I've been looking at? And I'm like, girl,
I'm so nosy. Like one of my like dream, like low key, like life fetishes, probably the wrong choice of word, Melanie. But I would go in every house on the street. I would just like, if I could be, it's not like I want to take people's things or like, everything feels like it has a story. I want to see their design. I want to see like, it feels like every house has its like own memories and like I would pay good money to view all the houses on my street and what's in them.
Yeah, a house voyeur, just kind of get the gist, the personality of the house, and also who decorates it, because it's more about who decorates the house more than anything.
That's
Yeah,
it.
my husband couldn't care less what's in our walls. Like, it's all me.
You've got taste. We can tell. You have taste. You are a connoisseur of good things. I love that. Yes.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
You're really giving me so many good qualities. Okay, thank you.
I mean, it's not
It's true.
hard. It's not hard. Well, I'm excited to know now, what is something you think about way too often?
Well, I mean, I used to think about like getting caught in some kind of time traveling thing where I would like end up in some like medieval place, and I had to like, how would I survive like alone? Like, would I have to run into some kind of convent, like maybe like sing for a living, but like how would I not get caught, and what would happen to my teeth and my hair, and like yeah, how would I drink water without like getting poisoned? I would think about this, and I would think about it a lot, like a lot. I've never written like a time traveling novel or anything like that, but like I felt like I would get quite stressed about it. Like, how would it be like to kind of just suddenly find yourself in some medieval place where you'd probably be called like a witch or something? Yeah.
Oh,
I have
totally.
a question, Your Honor. The teeth and hair was very specific. Is that like, can you expand?
Well, like, like how would I look after my teeth? Because like, how would I brush my teeth?
Okay, that's the American in you, honey, because Australians and the UK would not be thinking about their fucking teeth.
Specifically, Mexicans are extremely, extremely clean people. Like, and we like, so it's a very big thing. Like, how would we keep like washed and clean and like neat? I like thought of like having lice in my hair, or like,
Okay,
literally, yes. Okay.
My head's itching as you say it. Like, I'm like, yeah, that is like, were you a Outlander like obsessed, or did this is just something that you just think about?
Yeah, like in my teens and my 20s, and like all throughout, and then I would kind of like get to a point where I was kind of panicking about it, and I'd be like, girl, like this is not real. Actually, it was before I started writing. I would just have these like long daydreams but that one was one that kind of came up a lot. Like, how would I survive in a time warp?
I love this. And now I'm going to think about this as well. And the answer is I would not survive. Game point, set, done,
you'd have
dead.
You'd have to find something. Like, how would I make soap? Like, I started looking up like recipes for soap, like from fat and stuff. Like,
you just never know. You never know when you're gonna fall into a time warp and you need to wash your buns. Yes.
Yeah, but maybe it's just like that basic human instinct, because I feel like or if you read something and it mortifies you, like for me, I think I did that as well, like about reading stories where like some princess was like married off against her will, and I was like, what would I do? How would I escape? Like, what would my game plan be? Like, I would come up with elaborate stories to escape my like evil royal family marrying me off or something to an evil lord. I don't think it was very elaborate. There was plans.
Yeah, I mean,
such a writerly thing to do.
I think
yeah,
so.
but you were doing it before you even knew you wanted to be a writer. So can you tell us like where did the writing begin for you? Like, when did that start, that love, this journey?
Yeah. So I mean, I think like I never knew I wanted to be a writer, but I always wrote. So like I just thought it was something I did like I always wrote like a journal from like the age of 9. I would write like travel when I went traveling, like what we did, or like I would just write about my day. There's like passages there, like just some complete inane thing, like I got in a fight with my friend at school, like just like and then a lot of it was just kind of processing my feelings, but I do, when I started writing and I was like, where did this come from? Because I was, late, it was later, 10 years ago only, that I kind of started seriously writing. And I'd already kind of studied my whole degree. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I literally like was in my last year of my postgraduate degree, like about to become a clinical psychologist. And then I was like, I want to write about mermaids. And and I was like, whoa, where's this kind of thing? And then I thought, well, actually, I did used to write stories like in primary school. They were called stories of love and passion. And like my friend and I would make these little booklets in school and like would just write some stories about love and passion. And so like I think it was always in there, like this kind of desire to write, or just this part of me that was a writer. But yeah, and it wasn't only until my last year of uni that I started writing this book about mermaids, and I really fell in love with the process of making a long story and like a whole world, and like I had like magic systems, and like how would they do all this stuff underwater, and they went to the Olympics, like what would the Olympic things be underwater, like the events. Anyway, so I spent like 5 years like writing and editing and querying that novel. And I got like, and the sequel. I was like started writing the sequel like before I had like a deal or anything. And then I got like hundreds of rejections from all these agents. I just kind of wanted it more because I was like, people keep telling me no, and I'm just kind of like a dog with a bone. Like by then I was so into it. I was like, I will become a published author. Like just twitch in my eye.
Yeah. That's a relatable twitch, my friend. A relatable twitch. Maybe it's the twitch that like separates the people who stay with it in the end. Because like, yeah, like the hundreds of rejections is relatable. And it's just like at a point you're just like, I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
So that like I can at least decide later if it's not for me. I want to already have done it. You know what I mean? You reach a point and you're like, I don't even fucking care if I don't want it anymore. You know when you have a down day and you're like, maybe I don't want it. I don't care. I'm gonna get the clues first and then decide.
I mean, and the thing is, after those 5 years, and I'd like just looked at it and rewrote it, and like had paid for professional editors, and had like exchanged the novel with all these people. I tried to get into pitch wars, like all of those things. And then I had the idea for Daughter of Fire, and like that's when I was like, I really want to write this other book. And it took a friend of mine who's an author of children's books. She said, just put the mermaids in a drawer.
Yeah.
Put the mermaids in the drawer. You really are so excited about this book. Like, just write it. You can always go back to the mermaids.
Yeah.
But just write this one. And I'm so glad I did that, because like the book just kind of poured out. I wrote it so quickly, and it was, I felt like the mermaids were my undergraduate degree, and like where I cut my teeth and I learned how to write, and I learned how to do and make all the mistakes. And what's going on in the publishing industry, because obviously I knew nothing about it. And then by the time I was writing Daughter of Fire, it was like really serious, and I just knew that it was going to happen this time. Like I don't know, I just had like this feeling. I was like, this is a good novel. Whereas like with the mermaids, I was also unsure. It's kind of like, mermaids are going to the Olympics. Like,
I mean, I'd read it.
Thanks. You guys are so sweet. But like, I was also like I didn't know what was going on. There's so much going on. It's like 15 plot lines, like just really messy. Like, everything. So I think like this one, I was like, no, this is more streamlined. Like I know what I'm writing about. I know what the story's about. I know what I'm saying here. Like, so that was a lot more smooth. And so yeah, the journey then kind of was a bit more kind of steady from that point forward. And I mean, not totally, because it still took 5 years, but it was different. Yeah.
No, I love that, because I feel the same for me. Like the first book I wrote, I really like cut my teeth on that book, and I thought it was like gonna be the first book, and then eventually I had to put it away because same, it was so messy. Like looking back, it was so messy and so chaotic. But I thought, there's something here. But there's something really, really courageous in putting something down and starting something brand new all over again, and being willing to like do it. And so it can like take us now that you've decided, okay, I've got Daughter of Fire, this is what I'm working on. Like what happened after, it was go time?
Yeah. So I mean, I found my agent quite quickly I mean, like I only had like a couple of rejections, and I found her through PitMad on Twitter. So it was a Twitter event, and there was a tweet that actually I didn't write. My friend wrote it, which is
Thank
a
God
really
for
big
friends.
lesson.
Yeah.
Big lesson here. Have friends. They will. They will. You'll need friends. You need to be good to people, and people will be good to you too. And I mean, hopefully, mostly. But so yeah, my one of my beta readers, like I was like, I'm struggling, like I can't, like I don't know how to write a tweet, like I'm terrible on threads, I'm terrible on tweets. So I was like, she wrote this thing for me, and my agent now liked it, and so then I sent her the stuff, and she offered to represent me, and I was so happy because she's just such a great agent. I just was so happy. But then actually it took us another 2 years to find a publisher. So, like sometimes people think, wow, like you've got an agent, that's it. You made it. I was like, yeah, I got an agent. I got a great agent. Like people know this person. Like I'm so going to be published. No. So yeah, it took another 2 years, lots of edits, back and forth. I paid for another developmental editor to kind of support with like, because by that time she'd read it, I'd read her assistants had read it. Like we're like, what else can we do? Like we're old, can't see the forest through the trees here. But I think mostly the problem was that I think people thought it was maybe too niche, like, oh, it's this historical fiction about Guatemala, and some of the feedback we got was like, oh, we don't know if this time period will sell, which I found like really weird because it's the 16th century. Like there's like hundreds of novels about the Tudors. Like you literally cannot go into a bookshop here in the UK without having like a whole row of books about the Tudors, and they're all in the 16th century. So what I felt was like people were saying like, no, actually 16th century Guatemala will be hard to sell. Like who wants to read a book about Guatemala? I'm like, I think a lot of people want to. Okay. So yeah, I mean, there's barriers there that you don't know what they are, but they are there, and or you do know, but you can't really. No one's going to say it, is it? But so that was hard. It was hard, and it was really. I mean, no one kind of tells you how the kind of anguish of like it's hard to wait, of course, for an agent to get back to you, with an offer of representation. That's super hard. But like when you have an agent, your hopes are even higher, and you're like, oh my God, I've made it through this big hurdle, and now why isn't this happening? And there's lots of authors who now I'm like in contact with and have gone through a similar thing where they didn't get published right away, and it's not just like this smooth sailing thing. And even after you get published, you still might come, it's not like this given thing where you just kind of got the foot in the door and then you just keep going. And maybe it's a bit easier, but I know some authors that it isn't easy still. So like, it's just hard. And I think that doggedness and that tenacity and that determination, that twitch in the eye, just something that keeps you going. Because otherwise, that's it. Like, it's too crazy to do this otherwise.
Man, what a
Yeah.
journey listening to you. And yeah, you're so right. Like at the end of the day, at every stage, it's hard. Like a career in creative field, it's just there's the unpredictability and so much waiting. And I appreciate you sharing that with us because I think, yeah, it's definitely something that you think that you get an agent and it's going to instantly happen, but like sometimes it can take years to sell that book. But here we are. And
The
thank
twitch.
Oh, I'm in my color. I'm matching a little.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that, but I appreciate that.
I mean, I'll say it was on purpose.
Yes.
It was on purpose.
Thank you, Angela. You're so thoughtful.
Yes, I'm so thoughtful. The cover is phenomenal. But can you tell us, I mean, this baby is out. She is here in the world. Like, first tell our listeners a little bit about the story.
Okay, so this Daughter of Fire is a story about a young half Maya, half Spanish woman, a young woman who is kind of a highborn girl. Her father's a very powerful man, and the president of Guatemala at the time, who was a real man, and she is part of a Mayan lineage that is tasked with preserving the Popol Vuh, which is the Mayan story of creation, which is a real story. It's a real book that the Mayans wrote, and the stories were preserved. This is a real event that happened. The stories were preserved after the conquest by the Mayan nobility, but no one knows who wrote these stories. So mine is kind of like a reimagining of who would have written these stories in secret, in a time where if they were discovered, they would have been put to death. Because it was a heretical text. And so Catalina, she struggles with her identity. She loves her father, but she also loves her mother, and who's no longer around. And it's a coming of age story, to kind of get through all the hurdles that are thrown her way, mostly by her father, who's a very controlling man. And she has to really kind of take many risks to try and finish writing this book, with the help of the man who would have been king if the Spanish had never come. So he was also a real figure, a real historical figure, and he would have been the king of the Quiche Maya people. So that's one of the best I've ever done in explaining my book.
was good. I was like, she's giving pitch realness.
Never happened before.
That's hilarious. As you were speaking, I was like looking out my window, like, where is the delivery guy right now? I want to read this book.
Thanks. Yeah, so that's it's a historical fiction novel, and it's there's lots of real kind of events that happen in the book, but it's just a kind of a reimagining of it in my
Very
perspective.
cool.
Thank you.
Yes. What inspired like this story in particular?
So a couple of things. I guess a couple of years ago in 2018, I did one of those DNA tests, those home kit DNA tests, and I'm just kind of trying to find a bit more about my ancestry or where I came from. And because obviously I've always known that I was Mexican, and but I had Spanish ancestry, like, from both sides. And so I came back that I also had an Indigenous ancestry, Indigenous to Mexico and like Central America. They just show you kind of like the shades. They don't really tell you, oh, you're Maya or you're, Mexica, Aztec, but I grew up in Cancun, and so I was always kind of very, very interested in the Mayan history, and we used to go to like Chichen Itza every year for the solstice and like climb the pyramid and like my parents read us lots of stories, like pre-Hispanic stories.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and so I always had an interest in that, and I was really kind of I don't know, like touched by this knowledge that I had Indigenous blood. Like I didn't know that, and neither of my parents knew like who from our ancestors kind of had Indigenous blood or who had married who or when. And so, but I kind of like started imagining in the past there would have been a mixed race person in my family. And I know, for example, from my dad's mother's side, my family have been in Mexico like since for like 300 plus years. And like one of my ancestors fought in a war against the Spanish. So I was like, but they're kind of Spanish. And so I was like, wow, this is so like interesting to have this dilemma inside that I also feel in a way because I left Mexico at 10. And so I've always kind of been a bit split in myself about do I belong here, where, and so I was reading more. I started reading more about the history of the Mayas, and I came across like this passage about how there was a bishop in Yucatan who had burnt like thousands of Maya books because they had like their own books and systems of writing. And obviously they burnt these books to prevent idolatry. And I just started crying when I read that. I was like so upset. I was like, oh my God, all those stories, all that history. And like for the Maya, the voices of the past, when you speak, when you read the texts of people who've written, you're listening to your ancestors' voices, you're listening to, so you're connecting directly to the person who wrote this and keeping them alive in reading their text. So it was like they were burning their families in burning these books. And so I was just so upset. Honestly, I was like crying. And then I read this about the survivors, like the books that survived, the codices that survived, and the Popol Vuh was one of them. And then when I read like, oh, no one knows who wrote this book, it was like they write it in the book. We're not going to tell you who we are because we're in the middle of Christendom and it's dangerous. Basically, we can't tell you who we are. And I just was like, oh my, I got goosebumps now. Like, just I was like, I was like, I need to write this story, these anonymous people, like who were they? And just kind of started the spiral of research. Oh, they were Mayan royals. Oh my gosh, they're royals at the time. There was a king who would have been king, and who was ruling at the time. Oh, this guy, the powerful president, but he wanted to get rid of slavery. He was really trying hard to fight against slavery. I was like, it was just like really, really hectic. So that just took me down this spiral, and I don't know, I needed to write it. Yeah.
Man.
I love how your mind works as well. Like, I love all the threads that like, yeah, it's like the voices from the past like came to life in this story. It's so cool.
Yeah, I really did feel like I had gone on this ancestral search, and like I was being spoken to in a way, like I was being pulled and guided. And I really, really strongly believe that. I'm very grateful to those ancestors that guided me. I'm always really grateful because I do believe that's the case here. Yeah.
I have chills just listening to you. Yeah, I think there's something so like, especially it feels like in the Latina culture, the ancestors are always like part of us, and it's always this thing that like you feel it. And so like hearing you, listening to your story is so beautiful because you felt it and you went with it. And now you're holding this beautiful, stunning, gorgeous story in your hands, and still bringing their stories to life. And for a new generation that had no idea, or has never heard these stories. And like you were mentioning, like who wants to hear 16th century anything? Well, we do, and we need it. And we need these stories. So thank you for pushing on and making it happen. Like the eye twitch worked. The eye twitch was possibly the ancestors like tugging you and like, keep going, girl.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Catalina would not leave me alone. It was going to happen. It was like constantly waking me up at 5 a.m. with like sing, so
Yeah. I need to not say that. Like it's problematic on like a bunch of levels as a statement, because like, what do you mean there's not a market for it? Like, isn't the whole damn point of storytelling to hear all these stories around the world and to like what I don't even understand how that's like a reason to not even want something. Just say it's not for us right now. Just because like literally as you're talking to me, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I know about this now. Like, isn't that the point of storytelling? So we can hear these stories, hear them again from a different brain, hear them again with this thread added. And like, that's kind of the beauty of storytelling, right? Like,
I agree. Yeah.
We all agree, Melanie. Yeah. Tell the uppers in the publishing world, start listening.
Editors, hello.
Listen.
Yeah, they should be embarrassed of using that as like a reason to like not, like no one wants to hear about this time period. Like, based on what? Like, do we want to hear the same time period from the same point of view, like again and again and again? And that's cool, we've got that, but like, hello, like literally the point of stories is to share and to know more. So I'm so fucking stoked that it did make it through, because it's like, sounds like everything I want to read, and like, yeah, it's glorious. Anyway, sorry, I was like, what a stupid like excuse that they gave you. Just like say it's not for right now. We just have our full list, something like, it's like the audacity. I don't know.
Oh, thanks, Melanie. That's really validating the rage. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I felt bad.
Yes, live in the rage. Yes. I love it. What has been the most rewarding part of this journey so far?
Oh, well, you know what? I'm gonna just say it. Looking at this cover,
Yeah.
it's just like, just when I saw the cover, I just was like, this is it. Like, I just once again cried because that's a theme. But like, I just was so happy. I mean, it's just something that is so representative, isn't it? Like the cover of a book, and it's like once you see it, it just makes it concrete. Like it's happening. This is actually happening. Like it's just one of the best feelings, honestly. Yeah,
it's stunning. The colors, the imagery, everything is absolutely stunning and perfect. So yeah, you deserve the cry. You should be crying when you saw that cover.
Still cry sometimes. I ugly cry, by the way. This is not.
Well, speaking of ugly crying, what has been the hardest part?
Oh, well, definitely that 2-year wait was just a slog. It was really upsetting. I mean, at one point I thought, well, my agent's just gonna dump me. Like, I can't possibly be worth it. Like, but they were like, to me, they were like, I don't want you to quit. They even before I said anything, they like, how are you going? Like, I just want you to know, I don't want you to quit. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to do this. And so I just found that so soothing. Like, I was so glad. Just that's a good agent, isn't it? Like, I didn't even have to say anything. They were like, we're doing this. Like, don't worry. I'm not going to stop. And she's just as determined as me. So I was like, wow. Couldn't ask for a better team, to be honest. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that you were supported during that time. Because submission is the worst. So each day is terrible, but like each month and then each year on top, it's thank goodness for good agents and a support system, which sounds like you had. Looking back at like all that you've accomplished, what advice would you give to a younger version of yourself before you started this whole thing?
I think like I would probably just say, like, don't be too scared to put that book away a bit sooner. Like, I think I squeezed the juice, like when I was just so grossed out by it, I couldn't like look at it anymore. I was like, I just don't like, I can't handle like reading this book one more time. Like, and I just wish I'd kind of been, but you're so invested as well. Like, it makes sense. I've invested so much time, so much energy, so much money, so much effort, so much like life force trying to get this book out, and it just wasn't working. So like, I understand that. I don't know if there's like any shortcuts really. Like you just have to learn. You're like, it's just part of learning, isn't it? Like, so, but now I know maybe in the future, if there's something that just isn't working, I might be a little bit more willing to kind of say, okay, let's just put that one for aside and see what else, like, especially if I know that I'm excited about something else, I think I would follow that a little bit more. I'm not one to just kind of jump from one idea to the other. Like I'm very much like a one idea at a time person, but like this was such a solid concrete thing and I was so sucked into it that I was like, I have to just write this. And yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like nothing teaches us the value of like time and patience, like time and patience. It's just like people tell you like it's going to take time and whatever, and you're just like, but yeah, actually, that's the thing. When you have experienced it, it's such a tool now. Like, hopefully that doesn't happen again. No more 2-year waits, but like, if you are in a waiting period, you know it's nothing to do with your writing. It's nothing to do with this isn't for you. It's just the industry. It's a slow Leviathan.
So slow.
But yeah, we're like ticking down our time. I wanted to ask, like, what are you doing to like celebrate now that you're here? Like something, how are you like celebrating this moment?
Well, I went on a trip with two of my friends who flew from Brisbane to be with me at my book launch. Yeah, I know. It was so sweet. So we went to do like a little Pride and Prejudice tour in like the Peak District. We went to Mr. Darcy's house and like, and I just thought that was like the most glorious thing. It was really nice to just kind of like really go do something different and just take a break from, content and marketing and all this stuff. So I think that was really important. Now I'm kind of back on it, but like at least I had that break and I spent time with those two friends, which I think is, much more important. So that was really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Celebrate. I thank you, friends, for coming, for celebrating, for taking us to Mr. Darcy's house.
Yes.
You can't beat that. I love that so freaking much. Well, I know we're gonna get cut off at any second. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being
so
amazing and smart and wonderful. And I cannot wait for just all the success to come your way.
Thanks, guys. You're so great. You make me laugh so much on Instagram, honestly. Keep doing what you're doing. I love you guys so much. You're such a joy, honestly. Yeah.
Oh, you're
congratulations,
a joy.
Melanie. I'm so excited for you. Well done on your agent. And Angela, you're like prolific, continuous books that you're just pumping out like a total pro. Yeah, I'm still gonna get there one day for the next one.
Yeah, you shall. You shall. We are here. We are working.